What's up, everybody? We are day 25 of the veg cycle, and we are just been walking around bending. You can see that our branches, our lowers, have really stretched out. This is due to the fact that we have just been bending and twisting and bending and twisting and bending and twisting and bending every day. And you can see the results. Branches just come right on up, just like we were using a scrog net, except I'm not going to use a scrog net. I'm just going to be opening up these plants simply by removing some leaves strategically, like some fingers here and there, just trying to open up the plant as best I can without with leaving as much leaf mass as possible. So that's where the finger idea came into play. And I was like, how can we get more light down there without removing the leaf? And that was pretty simple in my head. Just remove a finger, and that finger really heals up super fast. Look how it just scabs up. You can start to see, looks like some terpenes coming on that leaf there, doesn't it? It doesn't look like that. That might just be, although this Grape Gushers times Peach Pistols by OK Calyx, I have to say, right now, in the bed, terpiest thing in here, in veg. I don't know how it's going to do in flower. I'm sure it's going to be, really nice. But as far as a stem rub, like when I'm breaking leaves off and breaking them up and chopping and dropping them, the stem rub on that right there is very, very potent. This one here, you can see, is a little greener than these. All the rest, just this one. And this one has a really rich, I will say rich, aroma. And it's really all over the place. I really can't pinpoint a sweetness or a rawness, like a funky. It's just, it's there. There's a different, most of these plants in veg, what I'm trying to say is that if you've ever grown a lot of plants in veg, it's, when you find plants that give you a really, really good aroma in veg cycle before they flip to flower, they're almost always going to guarantee you a really good product. Really good medicine, going to be super terpy. What I mean by terpy is flavorful, like you're going to get a rich flavor when you smoke it if it's cured properly. So if it's cured properly and grown right, the genetics will show themselves. And the reason that I'm hoping that this bed will give me the diversity to allow these plants to show their full potential. Not just pushing NPK, we're pushing everything, the whole nonchalant, the aquatic biology that is being wicked up. The moisture in the water is being wicked up. All this here is sand, silt, and clay that has been broken down. You can see the aggregates. Those are aggregates. Like you can see, and what I mean by aggregate is like they're little like balls. That's because it's worm poo that they run through it. Snail poo, worm poo, and just underneath you'll see that organic layer there on top. And then if you dig down, you'll get to the sand and silt and clay where they haven't quite gotten to yet. Look at that, it's coming on out. But all that black stuff, this is all nutrient dense. Look, is that a worm right there? Is that a worm? No. Oh, that's something though. Yeah, it is. Look at that. Worm right there. Just put it down in there, and then when we water it in, the roots The biology, all that stuff will just start eating that stuff away and release those nutrients to the plants. We don't have to water the beds. What we do every once in a while is do just a what I call a morning dew. So I can bring my wand over here and just lightly mist the top to keep the mulch nice and moist. We haven't removed the cups yet, mainly because my IMO 5 is still at 100 degrees. We started it back up. We're still at just over 100 degrees. So we're in the active phase still. And this is where we want to be. I want to be at 100. So every day I come in here and I just do this. I just break the seal basically, because all the critters and the black soldier fly larvae, I can do this right here. I'll mix the top up just a hair, basically for that airflow. Punch some holes down in. I'm not doing a turn because I'm not that hot, but I want to get some air pockets going. And that's what these sticks and leaves are for. Those are all air pockets. But what's that? Oh, that's a piece of coal. So we put that charcoal in here. And that's activated carbon, or biochar. And that biochar was sitting in it's activated because it was sitting in the creek. And it's gotten all that biology from the creek. And now that it's activated, it won't suck a lot of the nutrients from here. This stuff is really nice. It's really turned into a rich soil. Highly active. Look at that. Good moisture content. Look at the black soldier fly. But I pretty much can guarantee that in my mind, I don't have to worry about any pathogens in this IMO 5, because this stuff has been cooked and cooked and cooked again and cooked again and turned and cooked again. So I think this is its 5th time. So I'm on IMO 5, so I've cooked it 5 times. It doesn't mean you have to. It's just what I did. Originally, this was up here, and it has broken down to here. So a good 4 inches of breakdown since I put it in there. That's quite a bit, and that's just over the course of a month, maybe 4 or 5 weeks. Go 5 weeks, I think. So you can do it really fast without the doo-doo, without any cow manure, horse manure. This is just rabbit poo, which is cold. And what I mean by cold is that it comes out the rabbit cold. It doesn't steam when it's coming out. Therefore, it's safe to put on a plant. It won't burn your plant, so to speak. It's not highly active in biology, so it's not heating up as fast, or it's not hot in the rabbit's guts. So you can see, I'm just going to take that finger right there. I just took that little finger off there. That's just going to open up some light, some air. Come down here and get this off of there. Maybe we can remove this one here. Don't need it. It's not getting any light. So if these things aren't getting light, I'm trying to open them up. See this here? See this here? I'm going to just pop that finger off right there. Move this over. Stretch this out a little bit. There we go. Now we got some more light going. Take this finger down in here too. I don't want to remove them all. They do like some shade, but I don't want this crowding. See, all right, let's see if I can get this is a good, all right, see how this branch here has 2 leaves, 1 on each side, 1, 2. I'm only going to take 1, and I'm going to take the one that's up in the crowded area, not getting a lot of light. Boom. Comes out. Now I have that air gap there and more light going down in there. We can take this finger here. Oop. Allow that light and that airflow. Now we don't have to worry about much as far as powdery mildew or buildup or moisture laying on top of leaves, which can cause a problem in flower when leaves are overlapping one another, especially when they're not getting any light, which is why these under canopy lights from Grandmaster are really cool, and a lot of companies are going to these undercarriage lights. Something that I've been always known since I started. I was like, you get more lights to these lower branches, they'll bud for you. And I saw people putting side lights on the sidewall. Oh, any kind of light's fine. But you don't really need to add the light because these plants can take a pruning. They're like a rose bush or any of these plants, like this dog fennel. The more I cut it, the more it grows. The more I cut it, the more it grows. Jasmine, the more I cut it, the more it grows. Horsetail weed, the more I cut it, the more it grows. Grass, the more I cut it, the more it grows. Everything in here, the more I cut, it's like, and just comes right on up. It loves the prune. Now, how much of the prune is questionable? Like, I have heard lots of different people and lots of different opinions on how much pruning is required for the cannabis plant. In my opinion and in my experience, and just doing this for 3 years, you can pretty much do anything you want. It doesn't matter. Now, I will say that the more leaves you take in veg, probably the less growth you're going to get in certain areas, which is why I like to do the fingering. I don't take these big leaves from the top. I take the ones from the bottom first and work my way up. I'm taking the fingers from the top to allow the light to penetrate, but I'm also leaving some big fan leaves to get that light source. We need for those things to photosynthesize. These are our solar panels, so to speak. And we need these things to suck up as much light as possible. So as the more solar panels we have, the more light we're photosynthesizing. The more light we photosynthesize, the more sugar is being produced and being pushed down into the soil in the form of exudates, is what they call them. Dr. Elaine Ingham calls them exudates. And these are just simple sugars. She likes to call them cakes and cookies. But we're feeding the biology in the soil with those sugars. Now, the biology that I'm talking about is like bacteria, fungi, the microscopic stuff that we can't see. So there are stages. That soil food web, there's a stage, just like we have a food web. We want a balanced diet, and we're going to eat a balanced nutrition based on a food pyramid, so to speak. But in this system, the soil food web are basically critters eating and pooing in succession to the point where it gets to the point where the bacteria is releasing the microbes. I don't say bacteria, but the microbes are inside the roots. They're inside cells. They're inside the plant. These things are, tiny. You got to get your mind into the small realm of this stuff. It's really hard to comprehend what's actually going on down here in this system. In fact, they don't even know exactly. They know like a small percentage of the types of fungi, the types of bacteria. They don't know. They know some good stuff. They found some good biology, some good bacteria, and good fungi, like the mycorrhizae and the lactobacillus and all the good bacteria that's out there, that's in our gut system, that helps us break down food, is somewhat similar to the same as to what's going on here. We have to eat, I have to chew, and then I have to have the biology in my system break that food down for me to where I can get energy from it. Because it's all about energy, and all these plants want to do is get energy to grow big, to reproduce, and to carry on. That's it. To drop their organic matter, and I think this is, in the grand scheme of things, if you want to go a little further with it, planet Earth, I believe, is what's really in charge. Mother Earth is in charge, and she has grown these things to her advantage, to the planet's advantage. We're a byproduct of this. If you understand what I'm talking about, all life comes from the sun and water. The energy it takes to grow big and strong comes from the sun. So the more sunlight we can get, the more solar panels we have, the more the system will work, the better the system will work. And once we get those roots, the roots in the ground, those roots are pushing those sugars that we need. We don't need to add a lot of sugar. We need to add plants. When we get these plants, then we can make these plants healthy by giving them the proper nutrition, by giving them the soil food web, basically. A balanced diet. And you can do this with bottles, and you can do this with Mother Nature. Me personally, I like Mother Nature because there's not a bottle on the planet, there's not a company on the planet that can replicate what's going on down there. Period. There is no product that can replicate what's going on in there. There's a shrimp right there. We can check him out. So nature is quite crazy when it comes to regenerating. It's how it's 4 billion years old. If we take ourselves out of it, we take the plants out of it, and we go to the soil, and you'll realize that the soil is what's really driving everything, the biology in the soil. But this doesn't even start until the sun shines down on something, and that something needs to be able to turn that sunlight, because the sun is dangerous too. It'll take life just as it gives life. Same with water. Water, it gives, it's the foundation of life, sun and water, but it'll take your life too, real quick. And it doesn't care, it doesn't have a conscience, it doesn't have will. It's just nature. And when nature starts to do its thing, just stand back. But we have to set this up right. And through just a little bit of research, through listening to some really smart people who have been doing this for generations, really, like 20, 30, 40 years of research and trial and error. You can't match that. And then you bring in the science, and you add a little science to what we know, and that's really what I like to see. I like to see us not abandon science, but use science to our advantage, which we usually do, but then again we have created quite a few bad things. But you can't have the good without the bad. It's a yin and a yang type of thing going on. There has to be death and destruction in here in order for there to be life, rebirth. It's just a sad part of life. That's just the way it is. If there wasn't death, we wouldn't be here. So it's just my 2 cents. I know everybody's on heavy hearts. Some people are, some people aren't. I'm not political. I try not to be, but I do know what's going on around me. So anybody, I highly encourage you to do your own research and stay out of the echo chamber of what is the crazy world of the World Wide Web, and stick to your own beliefs. And we don't have a problem. I don't see of anything else we need to do. We might do a water change. It's been about 4 weeks since we did a water change. And I think we might do a water change today or tomorrow. What's today? Saturday? Yeah, today's Saturday. We can do a water change on Sunday. That'll keep us in line. And what I mean by water change, I'm just going to stick some pads, some nitrate pads down here, and I'm just going to run my hand and loosen up all that gunk, that poo, and let it run in. And then we'll take maybe 10, 15 gallons out of the pond and just replace it with fresh well water. What do you think, Cooter? Looking good, buddy. Look at them claws you got, huh? Claws. Colors are looking good. You don't have that slime, no slime. It's good. When the water is real dirty, they will get a slime on their shell. It'll turn like I don't know, kind of like a clearish, cloudy, mucky looking stuff, and that's crap basically growing on a shell. And that's why a lot of turtle tanks have brushes on their shell, on their tanks, for the turtle to come up and brush the they are sensitive to the shell. They can feel you rubbing the back of the shell, so they have nerve endings all throughout the shell. So if you were to pluck a turtle or to, in its shell, it does feel that. So I don't recommend like plucking a turtle on its shell. It's kind of like plucking a dog in its nose. There are lots of nerve endings in there, and it does hurt them. You can rub them, and they love it. Or you can scratch them or do anything like that, but like a pluck, you don't want to do that. What do you think there, Cooter? I'll get you a worm here in a little bit, buddy. You got the mollies. Mollies. Look how fat that molly is, gee. My shiner down there, they're all waiting for food. Scooter, there she is, up in the grass. Alright, I think that's a good walk around today. I hope everybody has a great Saturday and the rest of their day, and I hope they're productive, and I hope everybody has a wonderful evening. Peace.